Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And earlier today, we had the live stream showing off the new martial arts tournament characters. I don't know what the actual English translation is going to be of that force, but that's what I'm going to call it until Sunday when they actually release. So we're getting the Mitzvah art for Lumi and Veldora, and then we have a free-to-play Shinsha and Jiwoo from Masayuki's party. Yeah, cool, whatever. I don't care. But alongside these characters, we are getting some additions to the Force, some EX upgrades, and some skill fusions. So today's video is going to be talking about those additions, looking at what the team is as a whole, and then kind of just laughing at it because it's kind of sad. So first off, we have these characters are going to be able to be EX upgraded alongside Fantasy Milim and Primal Demon Blanc, who are not on the category, but they will get their EX upgrades on the same day when this meta releases on the 20th or the 19th if you're in my time zone, or just America in general, I guess. But Fire Gobta, Space Carrion, and Protector of Peace Rimuru getting EX Unbounds. Rimuru being the most recent character because, he came out not that long ago. August, which, late August into September. It's now January, so it's been a minute, but he is very, very much a recent character. Carrion came out for the original half anniversary back in 2022, and Fire Gobta came out for New Year's of 2022 with that fire team. So old characters. We'll talk about their skill fusions in a second. And then, as I said, the Blanc and Milim are getting their EX upgrades as well. Milim, both of these characters are pretty much only damage units. They're meant to have a team built around them. I would say that Blanc is much more restricted in her team building than Milim because she needs to be able to use all of her skills a whole butt ton of times. Milim just needs someone to give her crit, but other than that, they're fine. Yeah. So let's just talk about the actual skill fusions. Neither Gobta nor Carrion currently have skill fusions in the game, so they have been the same as they've been since they came out. So they're giving them both of their skill fusions at once. So looking at Gobta right now, or actually we'll look at Carrion because I've got him pulled up. So his first skill right now gives him 20% attack and then gives all allies 20% crit damage for one turn. And then his second skill is a pretty basic orange convert to blues, which does work on this incoming team because it is a blue team. It is physical. They are crit focused, so he works, certainly. They're giving him slight upgrades. So for his orb change ability, they're now changing it to, instead of doing the protection gauge increase, he stacks weakness resistance down, which I just do not agree with. No. If I'm going to orb change, I want that gauge. I don't really care about 10% weakness resistance down, especially on this incoming meta where all of your converting is pretty much going to be done by a triple orb sealer and then the protector Veldora. So it's like, we don't really need this very often. So it seems a waste of a skill fusion. It's awful. I'm not going to do that one. The first skill, though, could be a little bit more interesting because it gives him an extra turn on the ally's crit damage, so it takes it from a 1 turn into 2 turns. But then, if you use it within the first 4 turns of the fight, so turn 1, 2, 3, or 4, you get an extra 20% crit damage for a total of 40% for everybody. Not just him, but for the entire team that's up front. So 40% crit damage is pretty impressive. It's still not like a gigantic amount, but I don't know when we're going to get like a 100% crit damage buffer, if any. But 40% is fine. It's just that 4 turns. Burst teams are meant for 5 turns, so like, why didn't you just make it 5 turns? Like, I don't understand. I guess you're meant to use it and hold on to it on your nuking character on turn 4, and then bring him in for turn 5 or something like that. I don't really know. It seems okay. It's nothing world bending, but it certainly does make the skill better. I think his orb change actually got worse. I would very much rather just have 10% gauge increase. Helps you get more protection gauge, helps you get more skill points, and alt gauge versus 10% weakness resistance down. Like, ooh, you're gonna do an extra 500 damage. Whoop-de-doo. All right, but then moving over to Gobta, it's his skills. He's a really, really old. They're both really, really old, but he's even older than Carrion. So his first skill is the orb change, currently the same. 2 oranges to 2 blues, 10% gauge increase. His second skill gives himself his own personal crit damage buff for 2 turns and counter power on a team that did not have counterattacks. So just did not make any sense. But his orb change is getting buffed in a good way because now it's going to be any 2 orbs to blue. So it could be 2 oranges, it could be 2 greens, it could be a 1 green, 1 orange scenario. It's just 2 orbs that are not currently blue are going to get changed to blue, and then you're going to get a 20% gauge increase for 1 turn. So he got the much, much better skill fusion on the orb change. I don't know why they shafted Carrion so badly on that, but this skill, actually fine. Am I going to do it? Probably not, no. But it is an objectively a much better skill now. It gives him a lot more viability and versatility as far as what you can convert, and you're getting a little bit extra gauge out of it. So nothing wrong with that. His second skill, the crit damage and counter power, they got rid of the counter power because it didn't make any fucking sense to begin with. So thank God for that. They're giving him a 5% buff on the crit damage, so now it's a 2-turn 30% crit damage buff, which whoop-de-friggin' do. But to replace the counter power, they're adding the burn effect for 3 turns. So if we look at like Fire Violet or something, the OG Fire Violet, she's got the 20% burn for 3 turns on her attack skill. That's what it's going to do. Not the attack buff itself, but Gobta is going to have that crit damage and a 20% burn for 3 turns, which, I mean, I guess it's more useful than than the counter power, but it's still not super great. These skill fusions are fairly weak overall, so they don't do it for me. But they're super old. What could they really do? So then if we look at the actual team itself, this is what we're working with right now because the martial arts tournament force is brand new. So we have a new Protector Veldora coming, we have a new Lumi coming, and we have a new free-to-play Shinsha. And then we have Gobta Rimuru, free-to-play Geld from Protector of Peace as well, and then Carrion. So this team sucks dick. It really, really does if you're trying to build a pure martial arts tournament team. Thankfully, we do have a number of other characters who can buff up a physical team. They're kind of old, but they do work. And I'll go more in detail during like the how to build video once I get my hands on the new units. But first off, what comes to mind is going to be New Year's Shinsha, because she is giving an alt buff to physical characters for 80%, which currently the team does not have an alt buffer. And then she gives all allies 40% crit damage. So, yeah, that'll work fairly well. And yes, we are getting that free-to-play Shinsha who has the crit rate. Feel like we can bring that somewhere else, like the hero or something. But Shinsha is going to be a good character. The alt swap to orange, like, it can be used. It's a generic single alt swap, and you're probably only going to be alting with the new Lumis, and she's orb stealing a lot. And even then, if you alt swap that orb away, it's still going to be a Lumi, and then you could just or steal anyways, and you have a full hand of Lumi still. So I think this Shinsha will be a very, very good unit, even though she's not actually on the force. Another character who is going to work is going to be Benimaru or Fount of Wisdom Rimuru. They're giving physical buffs. Now, the new Lumi coming in... Sorry, did I say Velzard? I meant Lumi. The new Lumi coming in gives herself her own physical buff. So in that event, you could maybe even bring this Rimuru. Although, you're already getting attack from the Protector, so maybe that's not the best idea. This is a wind team. Gobta. Where's Fount of Wisdom Gobta? You do something for wind characters, right? Wind attack by 30, pierce power, and then skill point increase for blues. That could be pretty important right there, because the team inherently does not have a lot of skill points. The new incoming Protector Veldora does give you, your future hand of blue orbs, but he doesn't give any extra skill points to those blue orbs. He gives you the passive skill point gain every turn, so 30 points on turn 2, 3, 4, and 5. But a full hand of blues gives you like 48 skill points or something if you send all 6 without being buffed at all. That's not great. So we're going to need someone to give us a little bit extra skill points. We have enough points to nuke to begin with. And we don't have any super gigantic green or blue buffing characters like we have for greens, like Divine General Diablo or Isis or something like that. Like, we don't have access to those right now. Maybe we will, but right now we don't. So those are just like very, very limited options. Once I get my hands on the team and once I can figure out some strategies, I'll make a more complete how to build guide for this new team. But just in general, you should not be summoning for this. You should not be summoning for this new martial arts tournament team. It's just, it does not have a lot of options. The Protector's pretty wonky. He's got 2 different things going on that are pulling off of the previous 2 burst blue Protectors, being trainees, being Tempest Elite trainee and Summer Memories trainee. We've got the future hand of orbs for blues from Summer trainee. We've got the alt rush from Tempest Elite trainee. They're cool and funny, but we don't use these trainees for anything. Anything. And they have not been used since their pretty much initial banners. So by combining them, like, I don't really think it makes a better Protector. It just makes them still gimmicky. You took 2 gimmicks and turned it into 1 gimmick character. It's still a gimmick. I don't foresee this Veldora being used very often outside of this coming February, month of February, and a little bit under half of January. It's a very, very easy skip. I know they've got the cool artwork and everything. They will come back, though. These are not true quote-unquote collab characters, so they will be put on future banners, just like the 2nd anniversary Hinata and Shizu are, because they were in the same boat. They were special arts drawn by Mitzvah, and we got them prior to the 2nd anniversary, and they have come back on a number of banners. They do. So don't really worry about the FOMO. If you already, we already got a triple orb stealer in Raphael, and we're going to get another one in this incoming Lumi. And if you already have Shuna or Hinata, you don't need another triple orb stealer if that's your only problem. Lumi will be a very good AoE wind damage unit, and it definitely needs it, because wind is kind of not in a super great spot. We have free-to-play Geld, free-to-play Hakuro, and then we've got Exalted Champion, Hero, and Milim, and then free-to-play Misery, Tempest Shuna, who is just not it, Tempest Gobta, fine free-to-play character, and then we've got Overlord Shizu, still good, but not meant for this team, I don't think, and then New Year's Milim and Vengeance Shuna. So we have not had a lot of super duper strong recent wind characters that can really hold up in the millions of damage kind of output. Milim herself is a damage only unit. The hero I use a lot, but for tower and stuff. I don't really use the rest of these characters minus Shizu and minus Milim when I'm running specifically the New Year's team. So it definitely needs a new character, and at least 2, so hopefully we get a single target unit that also does something interesting. But it's just, this is a very easy skip, guys. We've got a couple months until we hit the 2.5 anniversary. So where's the 2.5 anniversary? So it'll be around late April, and we are going to enter the same time slot that Overlord came out, late January into February. So we have 1 and then 2 metas after that you can save, and this is going to be a very, very easy meta to save on, because they're just not good, and I don't see a lot of value outside of another triple orb stealer right now, at least. So let me know what you guys think of these skill fusions. They are they're something. These EX upgrades, these additions. I think the devs knew that this Bremer was just severely underpowered, so they gave him an EX upgrade immediately, or an EX Unbound upgrade pretty much immediately as far as EX units are concerned, but it still doesn't do anything for me. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.